Good evening. This is Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show. This is Bill Morton, president of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, my co-host, and I am Trudy Leong, administrator of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. Today we have 5 special guests from Circles and Ciphers in Rogers Park. First, there's Shane Kelvin, Justine Ofthe, Kim Soen, Nakia Watkins, and Marco Stats. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
Hey.
It's so nice
It's
so nice to see you guys, because I've seen you perform. I don't know if it's the same people, but Circles and Ciphers I've seen perform at the Loyola Park Fieldhouse many occasions during the Black History Month event. And you guys are still based in the United Church of Rogers Park?
Yep.
All right.
What is the mission statement of Circles and Ciphers? We know what you do, but do you have a mission statement?
Yeah. By the way, I'm Justine Ofthe. I'm the wellness coordinator at Circles and Ciphers. And what we do, we create generational of freedom, equitable space, and mutual aid for young Black and Brown youth who've been impacted by violence and incarceration.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, it goes back pretty far, Circles and Ciphers. How did 2 Project NIA volunteers come to be involved with the 6 young men in the group home in the spring 2010 that led to the start of Circles and Ciphers about 15 months later in the summer of 2011?
Yeah, I love that question. Like you said, it really started with 2 volunteers who were working with Miriam Kaba, who's an abolitionist and involved with tons of community work. But they were really just responding to some of the outcries of violence and harm in the community of Rogers Park. And, they noticed that young people weren't being serviced or heard in the way that they needed to. So a lot of the complaints were coming from a group home called Lawrence Hall. So what Emmanuel, Andre, and Ethan Ucker, who are co-founders of Circles and Ciphers, they decided to just start off by creating space for these young people, just to hear them out, talk over food, see what they need. But this really what came about was this medium through hip hop, and just really discussing different things that are going on in their life through this medium of hip hop, something that young people specifically, really relate to. And then just giving them something to eat. So it really started off just like, we're going to kick it, we're going to eat food, we're going to get to know each other and really building that community before we even got to the restorative justice or the LGBTQ, the freestyle circle, and all these different spaces. But that's initially how it came about and to where we're at now.
When you started hanging out together and then rapping together, how was the flow in the beginning, and how has your hip hop changed over the years?
Like the way that we changed over the years is that we've grown. We've grown tremendously. There's been some people that when they came in, they barely even really knew how to freestyle, but now these same people are making whole songs. They're performing. They're going to different cities and performing at universities. They're performing at just different workshops and different places and giving opportunities that they never had before. So I feel like that's the number one thing that I've witnessed is just their growth. And with the support of Circles and Ciphers in your community, you can always grow. And that's the most important thing. So.
Do your artists draw from their personal experiences? Are they first hesitant to talk about themselves and express themselves in rap, or is it actually a sense of freedom for them to finally get it out?
I think in the beginning there's definitely that sense of fear or anxiousness, because a lot of the times, you do have a hard time being vulnerable, just in general, in front of especially in front of like strangers, but the beauty is that the circle is there for the sake of community, and like we have many different practices when it comes to building community, and we have many different circles as well, including our women of color circle, freestyle circle, our open circle, which is open to anybody pretty much, um, and young men's circle included.
Which is the most popular circle, and which is the most, let's say, maybe the most difficult circle to perform in?
Well, I think the most difficult circles it's always the ones that involve conflict resolution. I think in the beginning, it's like when you're deep in your emotions and your feelings, you just want to be heard, but the beauty of the talking piece is that it's passed to the left, and what that means is that everybody gets that same opportunity. No one is above one another in that sense.
And how different are the ciphers between the circles? You've got the LGBT circle, you've got the women of color circle, and the young men circle, and the other circles. How are the ciphers different between the circles?
Well, they're different in the sense of like who is leading and what are the needs of the specific community. So yeah, young men's circle or LGBTQ circle, like they both may have different needs, as one may be about privilege versus the other may be about marginalization. But overall, I think that like our practices are always the same. We're always getting into our values and our guidelines, and that's really important.
Yeah, and I would just add, amongst what Shane said, is that, some of these circle spaces, we initially started off really small. So as you all know, we started off with the young men's circle, and then we were initially only serving young men. But as young people began to come to the space and different types of young people, there began to be a bigger need. So that meant, wait, we need a woman of color circle. Let's do that too. We need an LGBTQ circle. Let's do that. Or a freestyle circle, because we got a lot of hip hop artists coming in. So these spaces really were led by and are for young people of color specifically. So when we have these spaces, they're serviced or they service people in that way. But some spaces, right now are on pause, just given, COVID and amongst the different factors. But our main circles that we have going on right now are our open circle spaces, which is open to LGBTQ, open to women, open to young men of color, really young people in any age or in the age demographic of 14 to 29. And then we also have our freestyle circle, which incorporates hip hop and freestyling that Marco and Juwan Lockett lead. So yeah.
You mentioned that the circles have some guidelines. So what kind of guidelines are there?
So I just want to bring up some important information about circles. So when we think about a peace circle, we think about indigenous practices rooted in the Native American traditions. And so that's, circles is not new, but it's been passed over to generation. And guidelines. So what are guidelines, right? So first, we always have values within a peace circle. That means, what do you value in the space? What do you need in the space in order for the space to be safe, to be comfortable, to be well, and for you to feel grounded in a sense? And our guidelines are more likely the action-oriented part that is connected to the values, where we continuously practice together as a community, as we come together in a peace circle to continuously allow those values to be shown, allow these values to be heard, and allow these values to be remembered.
Uh, you mentioned also that there's a conflict resolution when in the raps and in the hip hop. So when the members incorporate conflict resolution, do you learn from that? And what I'm absolutely certain that the members are able to learn from that. Were there any instances in which what the members learned from the conflict resolution that's incorporated in the lyrics? Was anybody able to take what they learned from the conflict resolution and then apply it in their lives and in their families and friends?
Oh, definitely. Like I've seen young people who come in and they'll get into arguments with like another young person and nobody is ready to listen, but again, the beauty of the circle, it creates that boundary to say that everyone is an equal here, and like in order to resolve these issues, like we have to engage in not just listening, but active listening, because anybody can hear what you're saying, but not everybody can truly listen. Well, anybody can, but again, it's about, engaging young people with those communication skills, and the talking piece allows you to do that. And so, yeah, it's complete. Yeah, some young people who come in, like they're completely different from where they were when they started.
What is the difference between the talking piece and the rap?
So what Shane was referring to, and I'll pass it back to you, Marco. So what Shane was referring to, the talking piece is an element, is something, is like a physical piece of how from a place where you've connected a story that you felt good about and you share it with the community in the space. So for example, if I had shout out to Evan Oken, I had this book. I shared it to the space at Precious Blood during my circle training, and I shared it in a sense of, I feel comfortable here, I feel safe here, I feel welcome here. So I want to share this with y'all, as a gift in entering in the space. And also, so a talking piece is more of like allowing the person to partake in the community by giving something back and using it as a sense of, within the peace circle. And, we pass it to the left from our hearts. And and we just learn to listen. So whoever has the talking piece, but I'm gonna pass it to Marco.
Yeah, so just another thing that I wanted to add as well is that when it comes to the rap, what we do is we freestyle. So I'm not sure, like if everybody knows what freestyling is, but when you freestyle, you're basically coming up with the lines on the spot. So we like to use this strategy because we want to give young people the opportunity to truly express themselves in the exact very moment that they're in. So when we freestyle with each other, when we tell these stories, when we're able to get out all the emotion and we begin to learn each other more, like that's really one foundation to building community. And that's something that a lot of these young people need. Uh, Especially because a lot of the young people that we work with have been incarcerated. They come from violent backgrounds. So we provide them with that space and with that community that they can come in, freestyle, eat, studio, but most importantly, to not be judged.
Right. How long does it usually take for someone to come in and then become comfortable enough to start freestyling?
I think that I've seen a whole bunch of different scenarios. There's some people that they come in and they spit a hot song already. You know, they do 16 bars already off the spot. You know, there's some people that come in and they maybe say like a couple words, but we don't judge them, of course, because we understand that everybody's at different levels and everybody kind of vibes differently, right? So yeah, man, I've seen it all, from people that's naturals to some people who may not be naturals, but they're willing to try. You know, but it's always cool just seeing people that come in on the first day and they're really shy, and then by the end of the year, like they're in the back of the studio kind of recording their first album. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the beauty that I love to see.
Are there any opportunities that came along for some of your artists, like maybe that opportunities to perform? You said at universities, right, and etc.
And recording.
Yeah. Yeah, we performed at a lot of universities. So we performed at Wesleyan University. We performed in Denver. We performed at the McCormick Place a couple years ago. Not years, but a couple weeks ago, actually, we performed at the McCormick Place at this conference. It was 1,000 people there. And yeah, you know, so it was a big deal. And it was people from all over the country. And the cool thing about it was that the people that got to perform are actually, you know, some of these youth that have been incarcerated, you know, so that was like their first time being on that big stage. You know, and they absolutely killed it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was so proud of them. And it seemed like they were the talk of the conference. So just being able to see somebody who was just incarcerated and now they're on stage in front of 1,000 people, there's no organization that's in this country that's doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's, you know, like that's what makes us stand out, you know?
Now, when you perform, is that freestyle or is that like a set?
We do a combination of both. We usually like to start off with the freestyle so we can warm up, and the freestyle is always a good way to interact with the crowd. So once we interact with the crowd, we love to perform our own songs. A lot of the songs have been recorded right here at Ciphers and Ciphers and Cabo Studios. You know, so we get to see the whole thing come to life before our eyes.
So your peace circles, do they occur bi-weekly? In case our viewers want to join in, are they bi-weekly, and what day and time, in case some of our viewers would like to come in and participate?
Thank you. So currently, the only circles that are currently running are our open circle and our freestyle circle.
Okay.
You know, but yeah, you're welcome to definitely come through. Again, we're ages 14 to 29. You know, we're Black and brown led. Yeah, anyone is welcome to come through every Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday is our open space circle, and Wednesday is our freestyle circle from 3:30 to 5:30.
Okay. And that's at United Church of Rogers Park, 1545 West Morse.
Yes, and Cabo Studios is also open between 12 to 5 on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yes. Come check us out. We got the hot studio. We got some hot vibes. You know what I'm saying? This is what we do, you know?
So,
Period.
So you're based in Rogers Park, but are you all from the neighborhood, or are you from other neighborhoods, each of you?
I'm from West Ridge, West Rogers Park, but I've been around this neighborhood throughout my whole childhood and my teenage years. So I consider this home, for sure. Like, I really consider this home. You know, I found out Circles and Ciphers from Evan. Evan connected to a stranger like myself. I was a stranger to him. He was a stranger to me. And then, you know, next I'm in the peace circle. Now I'm here, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, and I would just add to what Justine said. Yeah, I'm from Uptown originally. I'm on the north side of Chicago. Um, but yeah, like this idea, I love what Justine brought up. This story of like she was a stranger and Evan was a stranger. And when we think about the work that we do, it's very community oriented. So what that means is, we practice radical hospitality. So when you come through the door and the first thing that you feel and the energy that you feel is warm, that's the first thing we want you to feel. And what that means is we walk with young people through, trials and tribulations that are going on in their life. But beyond that, we're not looking at young people like we need to save them because we're young people ourselves. We've been deeply impacted by the work that we've seen at Circles as much as the young people are deeply impacted. So it's a two-way street. So yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that as well. But yeah, I'm from Uptown, and I'll pass it to you, Nakia.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, I'm kind of from the south side of Chicago, so both Roseland, Inglewood, and then also like Southwest Burbs, so Blue Island. But kind of to what Kim was just saying, like I ended up coming up this way and then finding community through actually connecting with Haley, who's connected to Emmanuel, and so that's kind of how I ended up in Rogers Park and doing the work. And I'll pass it to you, Shane.
Yeah, so I am from the South Side, originally from the Hyde Park area. But I used to always go up north. My mom hated me going to the South Side doing anything. So like pretty much I would go to another youth center, the Howard Center next door, to look for job opportunities. And for some reason, like I just felt the desire to just spit something, and freestyle. And somebody suggested that I come to Circles and Ciphers. I didn't end up going until like a year later. So
How would you say Circles and Ciphers changed Rogers Park?
it's changed Rogers Park in the sense that, the young people who live in Rogers Park, they get the opportunity to have a space that they can go to. Some of our young people actually don't even really have a place to stay. Some of them are literally on the streets or are facing some form of housing insecurity. Gentrification is a real thing, and also Circles and Ciphers mixing that hip hop and that RJ together, restorative justice, those two intersecting and coming together, I think it's amazing because, that whole purpose of hip hop is to literally tell a story from your perspective. And like young people are able in our communities are able to do that without resorting to harming other people, and if harm does take place, we use the art in hip hop and fashion, and just being in community and walking with young people, to like do whatever it takes to resolve that harm, but also be with them in their growth journey, and so I think young people being able to have a space like this has definitely changed Rogers Park.
And I think, Shane, after you said that and you all chimed in on where you're from, I believe that you guys have changed the city of Chicago. You guys are from Hyde Park, Englewood, Westridge, Uptown, Southside areas, Rogers Park, and you're encapsulating social justice issues with art. And that's amazing, and we need more of this kind of, I don't know if, would you call this a program, or what would you call this?
We are an organization and we do have programming, you know, but we specifically focus on restorative and transformative justice and abolition of the prison industrial complex. Marco, I don't know if you want to like go deeper into that, but we're big believers in abolition around here.
Yeah, most definitely. I was gonna say that if we had a choice, we would call it a lifestyle, because I feel like restorative justice is more than an organization. Um, um, you know, it's way more than a corporation. It's a lifestyle. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
Does Circles and Ciphers also offer at least some information for about resources to people, to the youth that come in case they need anything? Like you said, some of them are housing insecure.
So we have this department called YCC. It stands for Youth Care Collective. And what we do is that we create our resources of our own, and we send care packages to young people who are incarcerated. And I'll pass it to Nakia to tell you a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Justine. Yeah, like, I mean, as Justine beautifully put it, like the Youth Care Collective, like we support currently and formerly incarcerated young people. And so with that, like through the harms of like the prison industrial complex and entirely, like they don't provide supports for young people. And so we try to step in with that. And so like what that looks like for currently incarcerated young people is sending care packages, putting money on people's books, because oftentimes like the young people and the people inside like have to pay for their own deodorant, their own socks, and you know what I mean, for paper and stamps and envelopes and stuff like that, and or phone calls to their loved ones. And so if you don't have that, if you don't have access to those funds and those resources, then you have to wait a longer time, or not even get access to those resources. And so part of what we do to help support young people inside is through putting money on people's books and sending care packages with political education and stuff like that. And then upon kind of reentry, and then as well as like young people are just in our space, like we try to support with housing. We try to get them resources and connections to shelters or temporary or permanent housing that we have, and through the orgs that we're connected with. And so it looks like a lot of different things, as young people's needs are vastly different. But we try to like meet them where they're at and walk with them.
And just to be clear, my earlier statement, Circles and Ciphers is a nonprofit organization with programs, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And
we have 1 minute to go.
Okay. If people that, let's say the families of incarcerated young people or incarcerated young people themselves, if they really want to join you, like when they come out, or if they need your help while they're still incarcerated, how could they reach you?
Well, they can definitely reach us. We have Circles and Ciphers is on all social media. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, we actually have a block party coming up very soon. If for more information about the date, if you guys want to come along, those of you who are watching at home, you can email us at circles.ciphers@gmail.com for the information around the date and the time. But yeah, I'm really excited because this block party is happening, and it's gonna be, live music, live performances, discussions around community safety, food,
Sorry
drinks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. We're out of time.
Thank
Jay.
you so much to Circles and Ciphers for you all joining us, and we're looking forward to watching your performances and participating with you and interviewing you in the future.
Thank you so much. Have a good night,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank
Bye,
you so
y'all.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.